patiently.
All right, I'm just gonna talk. I don't need the mic.
Speak up.
Okay, hi, I'm Jodie Carr. This is my project, my mother's dress. I started out as a communications major at William Patterson until I took a drawing elective, and I really want to thank Joe Van Putten, and I'm so happy he's here for convincing me to be an art major. I'm very thankful for you, Joe. And ever since then, I became a sculptor, and I delved into different things, and then I went into photography with Professor Robin Short, who I'd like to thank, but she's on her way to France right now. So this is a culmination of many different things. Throughout the years, I've done works on different social issues, like women's issues and things like that. Things that weren't really necessarily near and dear to my heart, but I was doing them because I felt like that's what an art student should do. So one of the things that Robin taught us, since I took her in Photography 1, was to shoot what we care about. So this whole school year has been kind of trying emotionally for me. My father, who's here by the grace of God, went through some serious health issues and by a miracle was cured of cancer. And my mother passed away 6 years ago. So I had a lot of things on my heart about my family, and they're all very, very close to me and really wonderful people, and I'm very thankful to have been brought up the way I have been. So instead of doing the work that I used to do, which was sort of dark and depressing, I decided to do something that was a little more hopeful and reflective and nostalgic on my life. And so this is dedicated to my mother. And her dress is in every image. I found it in my closet, I think in January. I mean, it was recent. I found it in my closet and put it on and did a self-portrait. And the project sort of unfolded from there. It wasn't my original idea. And since then, this came about, and every image has significance as to places I used to go with my mother, and a lot of nostalgia. And that's my sister in her wedding dress in the diptych. My mother was never at her wedding, so I put the dress on and sort of playing me as her. And yeah, so I mean, you can ask questions if you want about each of the images. I'm not going to go through them all because they're quite layered. But it's certainly been an emotional process, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The chair and the vases and pretty much everything in this installation was my mother's or my grandmother's or has a relation to her. And I wanted it to seem like a warm room and a warm home. And hopeful for the future. And other thanks I guess I want to give are to Alan Lazarus for the thesis class. Thank you for your help. Jen Ueda for really being a support through my whole photographic process. She's been with me through the whole thing, and I'm very thankful to have her as a friend. And Taylor Guile for helping me install this. Without him, everything would be crooked. And to God and my family, I mean, I'm thankful, and I'm happy to have gone to school here and learned what I learned. And that's it. Any questions? Please.
Why did you choose the frames that you chose?
To fit the aesthetic of a home, the frames were very important to me, to be antique and to be classic. I mean, it's sort of my thing. So that was a strenuous process, actually, getting the frames, but I'm very pleased with the way they turned out and what I got. Yes, Alex?
All but one of the photographs, your back is turned to the camera. Why is that?
That wasn't actually planned throughout the whole thing. A lot of them ended up being like that. I think those may be more about my mother than the ones where I'm facing forward, where it's more about me and my mother. So the ones where my back turned, it's a little bit of a loss of identity, but what you notice is the dress, and that's sort of it's not so much about me, it's about the dress. It's more symbolic of her life, less of mine. Anybody else?
How about that tree?
The tree, that tree was planted after my mother died in memoriam, and in front of it is her old garden, but it's all grown over now, so, yeah. Yes?
I just actually took like my first photo class this semester, and I know you have to really shoot a lot, and I'm sure you shot a lot of different versions of all of these, so I'm just wondering how you came about to pick these, and did you have other ones that you wanted to put in but decided not to?
For sure, yeah. Actually, to be honest with you, I feel like I shot less for this project than I have with any other project because it was extremely conscious of what I wanted to portray. So every shot is very thought out. But there were plenty of different. I was going to put a picture in here, a huge picture, but I worked with Robin, and she told me it wasn't as strong. And you know, working with people like Robin and having somebody to help you edit really helps and makes you realize what works and what doesn't and what you want to convey. So having somebody there to help you edit really helps. So I had editors with me. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah. Did you have like a first idea, best idea sort of approach, or did you have lots of copies of the same like position and stance and stuff?
That's kind of like what she asked. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't the original project. My original project was going to be about my mother and about my father, but because there were so many medical issues with my father, it became a little too difficult, so it just became centered around my mother. There were other shots, but like I said, I edited and it ended up being this, and I'm happy about what's up. Anybody else?
Do you have any art historical influences?
Yes. Thank you, Jen. Art history is my minor and very important to me in the way I work. I make plenty of nods to classical art and classical painting, but it's very important to me to stay contemporary. I worked in black and white film for several years, and switching to color digital was a big step. So taking note of going to galleries of Chelsea and looking at contemporary artists like Eggleston or whatever, that was really important to me because I want my work to be formal and classic, making nods to art history, but yet being completely contemporary. So it's kind of a mishmash of the two, but yes, I love art history and I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to that. Anybody else?
In terms of the scale of each of the photographs, was there a purpose to it?
Yes. Each photograph was picked for each frame. So I bought the frames, and then it was a process of fitting which photograph to which frame. This is a very powerful shot, so it had to be the biggest. And that is also, I wanted the diptych to be very large. And then the rest, we're just conscious of color and mood and atmosphere and all of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was the frames first and then fitting the image to the frame. Yeah, Gina?
Is this the first series that you've done where you place yourself in the frames? Like in terms of like, you set up these shots and took these photos, correct? So is this the first time you've ever done this in terms of a concept, or have you?
Self-portrait, you mean? Yeah.
Do you consider these self-portraits?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I was hoping nobody would ask me that.
Sorry, Jodie.
It's okay. I don't know. It's like half and half, I guess. I mean, like somebody asked, the ones with my back toward are more not self-portraits. The ones where, like this is a self-portrait, I think. And the one in the bath, actually, I think is a self-portrait because that's about me and my mother, you know.
Did you study Cindy Sherman?
Yeah, of course.
And so do you feel that there's any kinds of influences from
Sure. I mean, I take influences from everything that I see for the most part, you know what I mean? Cindy Sherman, for sure, yeah.
Because they're like they're sets almost, and you really set up the whole frame, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this with us then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Remember Alan?
video presentations in the other room.
You know,